Hello and welcome to the homestead. I'm out here in the garden getting ready to start planting my garden this morning, and at the moment the wind is quite cool, but I can already tell in my sweatshirt I'm getting hot. So I had better get going. Daylight's burning and I have a mountain of work to do besides planting the garden today. Well, I finished prepping the garden. It's all put into beds. I'm doing the market garden style. I don't even know whose style this is, but it's the 30-inch beds with 12-inch walkways. Our soil compacts hard enough that I sure don't want to take a chance on walking in any of the beds. So I think at least for this year, this is the style we'll use. Getting ready to get started on the tomatoes. These poor little things are definitely needing to be put in the ground. You can see that they're purpley and yellow. I will plant them as deep as I possibly can. And I don't have any trellises up for the tomatoes because my plan is to do the Florida weave. And once I get these tomatoes planted, then I can just start getting that set up. And then of course I have all the rest of the plants in addition to the remaining seeds for our summer garden to plant. So I need to get going on these tomatoes. Now I am planting these tomatoes fairly close, but my plan is to, in addition to doing the Florida weave for their support system, but I'm also going to do a single stem plant. You also saw me taking these yellowed leaves off. When you plant tomatoes, especially when they've sat this long, you want to make sure that you take off any sickly looking leaves. And you also don't want the plant trying to support leaves that would put more strain on the root system. You want those roots to immediately go into the soil and get the plant established, rather than it struggling for a couple of weeks trying to keep the plant that is above the ground alive. So I just left a few leaves up at the top, whatever looked healthy, and then of course planted them as deep as possible. Tomatoes are unique in that they will grow roots out of the stem. Whatever part is in the ground will actually grow extra roots, and it will make the tomato plant even stronger. And tomatoes use a lot of water, so it's important that they have a good root system to get as much water out of the soil as they can, and that way you have better tasting tomatoes that don't take as much work watering them constantly. And anyway, so I have a lot of tomatoes to plant. I have probably 75 plants, and I don't even know if I have room for those, but I will get as many of them in the ground as will fit, and then I'll keep going with the other things. Well, it's the end of my day. I've done a lot of work out here in the garden, and I'm pretty well roasted. It was mostly overcast today, but I'm fair enough. It doesn't matter. I still get sunburnt. So I want to show you what I've accomplished today, and then I need to get the chickens closed up and get inside and get some supper together for the kids. This will be my little gate area. I still plan to use some snow fence to keep the deer out. So this is what I planted today. I've got all my little plants in finally. It's poor things. Having to hold them an extra month is just not very much fun. And it's also really hard on the plants. Unfortunately, I lost all of my cold crops. I guess it's relative because with the hail we had last week, if it was out here, there wouldn't be any cold crops left. These are tomatoes. Yes, they are planted too close. But I just can't kill tomato plants. These are different herbs. Basil and things like that. Dill, sage, some Chinese chives. That's mint over there. And my one little spearmint plant that survived. Now these cold crops, they could be planted, but this month and next month we will get some pretty hot weather and they just won't hold up. And I've got some little herb planters that I'm going to put on the back porch, and then I'll be able to take them in the house later in the season as things cool off again. This bed right here is kind of a mix of things. I've got my lavender, which you can barely see. And then I've got some zinnia seeds, and then some of that blue fescue grass that Ellie had picked out at the store. And down here are my onions. I have bunching onions and shallots, and then some red onions. Finally, it's very late in the season for this, but I can't waste them. I've got to see what I can get out of them. Now this is an empty row. This will have the zucchini in it. And then behind that is my peppers. I have jalapenos and California Wonder bell peppers. And then that over there, between the two rows that look watered, that will be my green bean row. And then of course another row of tomatoes. Because you can never grow too many tomatoes. Going over here, I added the last of my marigolds and got my marigolds and my calendulas. There was only 3 calendulas left. Everything else was out in the planters, and it is what it is when you have a hailstorm that lasts an hour. And then this is where I planted the asparagus. This will stay here for at least a year, maybe 2 years. Then I will be planting those out in the orchard. And this little hill here in probably 2 weeks, I'll be planting the peas in that. I'll put some snow fence up there for them to climb up. As you notice, there's a theme. We have a lot of snow fence thanks to our backyard project. So I'm going to be reusing that and not letting it go to waste. Now in here, I plan on putting the okra and whatever else I have that can be planted this time of year. And I did reserve an area specifically to plant cold crops here. I think I can start some in like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then that will go in here. I'll probably cover this so that it will stay soft and not get compacted from the rain. Thank you for coming along with me on this little tour of the garden. If you like our videos, please share them and subscribe if you haven't already. And we just appreciate you coming to visit us here on the homestead today. Got to get inside and get the kids some supper. So you have a great day.